that echo in a man's life, that ghost that keeps returning, wearing different faces but always whispering the same temptation. One moment, it's the intoxicating stranger. Another, it's the flicker of skin on a screen. And before you know it, you've fallen into the same craving, the same surrender, the same regret. Lust is not a one-time error. It is a ritual, and like all rituals, it has a god. The modern man, for all his intelligence, bows to this god daily. He repeats the same mistake, not out of ignorance, but out of compulsion. This is the eternal recurrence of lust, a psychological and spiritual loop that Nietzsche would call damnation disguised as desire. Nietzsche once posed a question that was less philosophical and more spiritual warfare. What if a demon crept after you one night and said, "This life as you now live it, you must live it once more and innumerable times more"? Would you throw yourself down and gnash your teeth? Or would you say, "You are a god, and never have I heard anything more divine"? It's not a theory, it's a test. If you keep giving in to lust, knowing the aftermath, emptiness, regret, weakness, would you still do it again? Most men would, because they are enslaved to it. They are not sinners, they are prisoners. The cycle begins not with the act, but with the unconscious need. Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, wrote about repetition compulsion, a twisted urge of the human psyche to relive trauma and unresolved desires again and again, even when it hurts. Lust is often the reenactment of unmet childhood needs, abandonment wounds, or buried guilt. Freud didn't see sex as evil, but he saw how misdirected sexual energy becomes death in slow motion. The orgasm becomes a mini-death, a symbolic surrender to nothingness. In chasing pleasure, the man unknowingly seeks oblivion, an escape from himself. And so, he repeats the mistake, not to feel good, but to feel less. Then comes Jung, who takes us deeper, not into action, but into archetype, the shadow, that dark, repressed version of yourself you won't admit exists. It houses lust, rage, envy, all the things you pretend to have under control. But what you repress controls you. The woman you crave, she is not real. She is your shadow projected in heels and perfume. Lust is not about her, it's about the part of you you've never confronted. The more you run from your urges, the more those urges own you. Jung wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life, and you will call it fate. So you call it love, you call it chemistry, but it's just your shadow, calling you to bow. But even if you become conscious of this repetition, you're still not free. Because now enters Deida, who does not see lust as simply an error, but as a masculine wound. A man without purpose is a man who sedates his pain with women. Every man knows the feeling, Deida writes, of being emptied by sex with a woman he doesn't love. That emptiness isn't just physical, it's existential. Lust becomes a way to numb the lack of legacy, a counterfeit version of connection when you haven't yet married your mission. When the masculine lacks depth, he reaches for surface. And in that, he dies a slow, dishonorable death every night. Not from bullets, but from ejaculating his purpose down the drain. This isn't spiritual fluff, it's biological warfare. The Taoists knew this centuries ago. Sexual energy, Jung, was considered the life force of kings. Wasting it weakened not just the body, but the spirit. To spill your seed without intention was like pouring wine on the dirt, a sacred waste. Taoist alchemists taught that semen was not to be wasted, but transmuted into power, clarity, and magnetism. The man who guards his essence becomes alert, decisive, and calm. The man who spills it daily becomes foggy, anxious, and emasculated. Most modern men are not exhausted because of work. They are exhausted because they are bleeding life force through lust. And so, the cycle continues. One moment of craving, one click, one night, and you're back at square one. Not because you are evil, but because you are asleep. You are unconscious of the repetition. You are uninitiated into your power. And until you stop, breathe, and confront the pattern, you will keep living this life, again and again and again. Not because fate has cursed you, but because you have not yet chosen to evolve. In the alchemy of lust, you'll be taken deep into the ancient and forgotten discipline of sexual transmutation, a principle once reserved for monks, warriors, kings, and creators. Transcending the flesh loop. How to break the lust cycle. The pattern is ancient, but it is not eternal unless you allow it to be. The man ruled by lust is not damned, he is simply disconnected from his vision, from his masculine center, from the deeper current of power flowing beneath desire. He has mistaken the spark for the fire, the woman for the path, the orgasm for the victory. But there comes a moment, a sacred rupture, when a man no longer wishes to be sedated by softness, when his soul roars louder than his flesh. That moment is your awakening. That moment is now. The first key is awareness. Nietzsche's idea of eternal recurrence is not just a philosophical loop. It is a sword, a blade that cuts through your autopilot. Imagine this. The next time lust arises, ask yourself, would I choose this act for eternity? Would I repeat this feeling, this emptiness, this post-nut regret, forever? If the answer is no, then you have seen the pattern. And seeing the pattern is how you break the spell. Lust hides in the shadows, but the moment you bring it into consciousness, its power dissolves like fog under sunlight. The man who becomes aware no longer reacts. He responds. He does not run from lust. He redirects it. This redirection is what Napoleon Hill called sexual transmutation, a process he said separates ordinary men from extraordinary ones. In Think and Grow Rich, Hill revealed that every great man, leaders, artists, warriors, possessed heightened sexual energy. But they did not waste it. They channeled it. They used it as creative fuel, ambition, magnetism, focus. He wrote, "The transmutation of sex energy calls for the exercise of willpower, to be sure, but the reward is worth the effort. The man who can feel the fire of lust without being consumed by it, he becomes a furnace of power. His aura thickens. His presence intensifies. He becomes the storm, not the victim of it. But this is not just mindset. It is a ritual lifestyle. You must build a fortress around your willpower. You must create systems that honor your masculine energy instead of draining it. Cold showers when arousal rises. Morning workouts that re-anchor your discipline. Philosophical reading that strengthens the mind. Purpose-driven work that gives meaning to your days. The mind cannot overcome lust in theory. It must be anchored in action. You don't suppress the fire. You forgive it. Then forge it into a weapon. Here is where Jung and Nietzsche return, not as philosophers, but as guides of transformation. Jung told us, "You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become." Lust is not your identity. It is your initiation. The same impulse that once made you weak can now become your secret weapon, if you shape it. Nietzsche's Übermensch is the man who creates himself. He is not ruled by gods, women, culture, or impulse. He forges values out of chaos. You are that chaos. Your lust is your raw material, and your self-mastery is the sculpture that will emerge from it. And what does this new man look like? He is not celibate for purity's sake. He is disciplined for power's sake. He withholds not because he fears women, but because he respects himself more. He does not chase pleasure. He attracts it by becoming the source. He does not seek approval. He builds legacy. He is mythic, not mundane, focused, not fractured, sacred, not sterile. His energy terrifies the average woman because she cannot control it, but it magnetizes the rare woman who seeks a man forged in fire. This is the path of the sacred masculine, and it is not easy. Lust will always whisper. The feminine will always tempt. Your own body will betray you at times, but you must not fight it. You must transmute it. Bow to lust, not as a god, but as a teacher. Let it remind you of what you are capable of if you do not kneel to it. Your urges are not curses, they are compasses. The question is, will you let them lead you back into the same dungeon, or will you follow them into divine discipline? The cycle ends when you stop numbing and start creating, when you stop chasing and start building, when you stop relapsing into regret and begin ascending into myth. You do not break the eternal recurrence by escaping it. You break it by evolving through it. This time, choose differently. This time, conquer yourself. This time, become the man that lust can no longer seduce, because he has already seduced destiny. In the end, lust is not your enemy. It is your mirror, a distorted one, yes, but still a reflection of who you are when you are unaligned, unfocused, and unconsecrated. The mistake isn't the temptation. The mistake is the forgetting. Forgetting your purpose, forgetting your potential, forgetting that every release of energy is a declaration to the universe of who you are becoming, or who you're settling to remain. The eternal recurrence shatters, and in its place, a new pattern is born, not a loop, a legacy. Thus remember, we are Indeceptor. Becoming Indeceptor is the code they never wanted you to learn. A psychological war map for men, forbidden teachings fused with modern strategy for influence, dominance, and self-mastery. If you want peace, prepare for war. The Indeceptor archive is the complete vault. Every lesson, every revelation, every psychological blueprint I've ever recorded, handcrafted to help you break chains, build discipline, and become undefeatable in a world built to deceive men. No ads, no algorithms, no distractions.